Okay, yeah, this is our discussion of Journey. Release date March 13th, 2012. Developed by That Game Company and Santa Monica Studio. Published by Sony. Costs $15. And platformed on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Microsoft Windows. So, yeah, I don't think we need to go through and say like how much experience we have all with it, because it's a fucking short ass game. We've all beaten it. Mitch, I know you got all the upgrades. Nick, have you gotten all the upgrades?
Oh, I actually didn't get all the upgrades.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I went through again, and then I fucked up, and I had already missed some stuff. I didn't want to go back again.
Yeah, understandable.
I was like keeping track of what I got just by like knowing how many things that there were and trying to get them, but there was a certain level where I just couldn't get it because like I just wasn't fast enough.
I have 3 left. There's only 3 left I need.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4. I don't know. But I didn't replay the game to get it because I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, you're just playing it for like the story.
I figured
and kind of trying to remember the feel of it.
I figured one of you guys would have done it, so you just tell me.
Yeah, there isn't like a ton to it. You just get all of them, and there's something like the level select area. You can get a white cloak.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Even just tell them by the little bit of the story.
Gets you an achievement. That's about it.
Well, speaking of which, Journey is just pretty much, how would you guys describe it? Just like a third-person platformer?
Yeah, kind of platformer exploration.
A little bit of exploration. I still think it's a lot on the rails, but it does very well on deceiving you.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very linear, but the spaces are really open, so they feel like you have a lot more to explore.
Yeah,
and the game just guides you in such a natural way that you pretty much are going one single way, thinking that you yourself are making that decision, even though they kind of have landmarks or little interesting points to direct you basically where they want you to go.
Yeah, it's I would really describe this game as being similar to like Abzu.
Yeah, it's the adventure. That's like what the game is about.
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's not so much. It's not so much about the gameplay as kind of the feeling the game is trying to give you, like kind of just that really chill, like feeling, and just kind of like, oh, I'm exploring, I'm flying around, and stuff. Oh, by the way,
I think the title itself gives you the perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it's a
it
journey.
feels like a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It feels something a little bit more.
Yeah.
But what
especially
were you just about to say, Zach?
Oh, I was gonna say that Abzu is fucking free on the Epic Store this week again. I haven't played that much of it. I think I've just played like an hour of it, and
it's like basically the same thing but underwater.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's exactly the same thing.
But
it's the same kind of vibe.
Different. Yeah.
Oh, I'm stupid. I totally played this with some coworkers during lunchtime over a few days. I definitely played this with, and I would say it's basically the exact same, just ocean style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
a little bit more mechanic heavy, but
yeah, the people who made this, That Game Company, they also made Flow and Flower, so it's definitely kind of in line with the kind of gaming experience they're trying to make. Like they're just almost trying to make like a feeling, like trying to match a feeling that to give the player, and it's a very cool game. Like I know they remade it, but I was really impressed with like the art. Like I think it looks as good as, you know, a lot of games that are coming out today.
It's
just got that style that really holds
pretty
up.
incredible for having a pretty monotone palette.
Yeah.
And it does a very good job of that. It's just brown or white. It just does that well.
I think it's about like the game there are certain games that use color really well because they limit it so much. Like another game that does that super well is Inside. Like Inside is a very like gray and brown world, but you can always tell where you're supposed to be going because they use like color to direct you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got those fucking cloth things everywhere you're supposed to go, like when you're supposed to like do a jump, or like in the, I forget what the area is called. It's like the, fuck, I had this up somewhere. Yeah, it's called the bridge because it's just that big bridge of cloth that you're building.
Oh yeah, you keep having to free pieces of cloth to build the bridge.
Oh, yeah. And I should probably say at this point, it's basically spoiler warning for the entire thing because you can beat the game in 2.5 hours. It's
Should we talk about our feelings first before we talk about the actual game?
Oh yeah, we
should talk about the mechanics really quick.
Oh yeah, because there's like 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, I guess 3 technically, because you got your sound button. You can like do your chirps, and you can hold down a button to make noise in an area that activates certain things, and you've got your fly button, and you can walk around.
Uses the scarf, so you want to collect scarf pieces to increase the scarf.
Yeah, like the scarf is your energy meter, and you can gather pieces of scarf to increase your energy meter.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Well, the only other mechanics are involving the all the different fabric in the game, because a lot of the fabric reacts to your chirps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's like,
and like
all of the
fabric they recharge your scarf.
Yeah.
All the other fabric fabric things in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which ties a lot in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was your question before, Mitch? Talking about the feelings of the game, or what?
Oh, I was just gonna say before we like spoil everything. If I don't know how we're gonna spoil it, but just talk about the general feel, like how we felt about the game, what we liked, didn't like.
My initial impressions, I feel like I get this way sometimes with this kind of game, but starting out, I thought like, oh, this game's like, it feels really slow. That's obviously before you build up your scarf that much, before you really know the mechanics or anything. So once I actually got into the game and like understood the game, I started getting much more on board with it, but just, it was a little off-putting right at the start.
I would disagree, but I really like these kind of like almost non-game games where it's like, it's more of about your experience than it is about actually being a game. I really like these kind. They're very artsy. And
yeah, definitely.
And I just enjoy exploring the world and like experiencing the art. I really like this. The first time I played through it, though, I was really high. I didn't play through this game sober the first time.
And just so you know, Mitch lives in a state where it is completely legal.
Yeah, I'm in California.
So
it's totally legal here.
Consume responsibly, everyone.
It was a fun experience. It was a really great experience to go through when I was high, because it's just like really into like, I am this character and I'm walking around and discovering the world. And it was really fun. But when I played it again the second time last night, I realized I forgot so much of what happened. So it was a good thing to play through again to just like see all the different things and the different visual elements. But I really like this game. It's not something you can play a lot, but it's a good experience.
Yeah. I just really want to quickly talk about like, I was trying to remember because I remember going over this. I forget in what class in undergrad, but it was like talking about this kind of game and that it's supposed to invoke the sense of flow, like the name of the game that this company also made, and it's a psychology term where it's like being very focused on a task or very immersed in a task, and I think that's really kind of the feeling that
really well.
Yeah, I think the game intentionally like makes the mechanics not that complicated, and obviously there's almost essentially no UI. I can't really remember. I don't think there's like any UI.
There's when they're teaching you buttons, the controller pops up and it's like, press this button. But like outside of that, there's no UI, unless you count your chirps as UI.
Yeah, it just kind of shows you the area that it activates in, which I don't really I don't know if I consider that UI, because then it's like, do you consider the scarf UI because it's telling you how much energy you have left or whatever?
I would call the scarf intelligent UI. It's not actually UI, but they're like using the environment really well.
It's like in-game UI where like think of Halo in your assault rifle, you can see how many bullets are on it.
Yeah.
Or you can see like the enemy are glowing when you're like when you break their shields or about to break their shields or whatever.
Yeah, it can.
So I really like stuff like that where you use stuff in the game to, you know, basically have that be the UI instead of having this big just glowing bar on the top of the screen that really takes you out of the experience.
Yeah.
Well, this is all a good point because how I felt about the game, I agree a lot with Mitch. Like my first time, I was like inebriated, and my brother sat me down and was just like, "Hey, play this game," and he didn't tell me anything about it, and like played it through that whole sitting. But like the whole time I played it, I was like in wonderment, just playing it, and I think it's because of how simple that they made the game. The mechanics where it's just a few things so you don't really have to think about it.
Yeah. Where it's like really intuitive.
Yeah, really intuitive. And then I think the UI, there's like barely any UI, so it's mostly just the world you're looking at. The UI is really built in, like the scarf. And I think that just makes it that much more of an immersive game. And I felt like that night when I played it, like I was just sunk into it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what? I'm done? Like, it felt like no time at all. And it was like a crazy journey as the game.
Yeah.
But then replaying it, like, in a much more sober state, it definitely read the story a bit more. Which is interesting, but still
like I didn't really get the story. Like, I understand...
You can interpret it.
It's a pretty simple story. Like, oh, I need to go to this place. This thing happened. I can kind of get a little bit of context from the world around me. There's not a ton to it. Like, I didn't get a lot from, like, those murals and stuff that you find and you reactivate. I don't know. We can talk about that a little bit more once we get into the story. Well, actually, we want to get in the story right now? Because I don't know if there's a lot else to discuss with, like, the gameplay.
Unless we just get really specific in levels.
Yeah.
There's still other we didn't talk about the multiplayer elements.
Oh yeah,
I really want to describe. Ooh, that's true. But really quick, I want to describe like what are our favorite parts. For me, was when they changed up the environment so much that it made you feel like in a completely different world. And that was the tunnels.
Where you go deep underground. It's like almost like you're underwater.
Exactly. Like you're almost underwater.
Like, it's...
But you're still just underneath like a temple of sand, and it's all sand and shit. But just the lighting and all that.
That area was super cool. And it really made me feel like I was underwater. Like the god rays coming through the sky. And then
there's like a fish, stone creature, a jellyfish.
Yeah, there's the jellyfish fabric. Then there's like the seaweed fabrics. Like they put it design it in a way where they make you feel like you're underwater, even though you're not.
Yeah, and that was like one of the points of the game that was like, wow, just like this is a journey. But what about you guys? Do you guys have a favorite part?
Well, I loved the ending. I thought the ending was great.
The whole ending levels, yeah, that too. I don't know. If
I really like later. I really like the level where that's not a level, but the level where you're like sliding, like the whole level. You're just like.
Yeah, I think that's
that's right before you drop down into the underwater.
That's
area.
the descent, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the one that fucked me over getting more scarf pieces.
Yeah, a lot of those were not easy to access.
I could not predict. Like, I'm just going too fast, and it's just like too late to turn my character to go the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I didn't have enough scarf to like jump
I don't know, sliding in this game just feels good. Like there's something about sliding across the sand.
Yeah, and you got like all the fucking I don't know. I call them magic carpets. The little things going along with you, and you're just like jumping and riding on them and getting your scarf energy back and just flying around, and it's a
I think
dope
part of the
experience.
reason that, like sliding and that other stuff is so cool is because of the sand deformation. Like they have the really nice what is that called? It's not tessellation's not the word I'm looking for. There's another word.
Particle effects, or I don't know.
But just how the sand deforms around you when you're walking through everything. Like it's just, it's so satisfying. And then when you fall, like in the snowy areas, when you like fall and you like land in the snow, like it just makes these big poofs of snow, and they like stay up there for a little bit and they slowly deform. I don't know. Everything about the deformation of the ground is so cool.
Yeah, the kind of progression of this game almost like I think it's supposed to reflect like the hero's journey. Like you've got your rising action, and then you've got like the pitfalls in the way. Like when I got to the descent part where you like fall down and there are all those crazy like monsters everywhere, I was like, oh, okay, this is the part where I'm supposed to feel like, oh man, this is shit, and then it's gonna like bring you right back up towards the end, and then it's got another drop, and then it's like, then you're soaring right to the top.
Dude, the whole part with like the snowy levels, like that drop, like they did a really good job of like making it feel as if you're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end. And then of course like spoilers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But the like further you're getting, like all of a sudden you start seeing graves of like other people who've tried making their journey. And your character's just slowly walking up. And like that's supposed to be like the lowest point of your journey. And then as you say, like another up, soaring. Literally.
Yeah, it's it does a good job because it's got like the you're feeling really good like on the descent, like oh yeah, I'm really booking it. Then you got like down in the tunnels and you're like, oh man, it's shit down here. And then you're like moving up through the temple and you're back up, and then just right down to the bottom, like when you're trudging up the snowy area. Like
a good effect. A part of that was when they had the mechanic of taking away your goddamn scarf.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't. I got hit a couple of times, and I wish I hadn't, because there's an achievement if you don't get hit.
Same.
Yeah, when I was playing last night on the first time I went through, I only got hit I think once.
Like,
but last night when I got hit 3 times in a row, and I was with a white cloak person, and like I had this little like one, like basically the starting
cloth
basically at the end, and but the only reason I was able to make it through is because I had someone else with me, and so I was just like on them, because when you're with them, your thing constantly regenerates when you're like right on top of them.
Oh
yeah.
And so then I only made it through because the guy was with me and we were trudging through the snow together. And it was just, oh man, like I love the multiplayer aspect of this, and like trudging through the end of the game with a companion was so satisfying. Like we're doing this together. We're gonna make it.
On my journey the last time, I only recall seeing one person, but apparently at the end when I beat it says I met 4 people.
Yeah, I think I met like 3 or 4 as well. I met like a couple in the desert, and there was one person I was like up the hill, up the mountain most of the way with, but I think he kind of fell off towards the end.
The person I met was at the desert, 3rd level, like just a big open desert, and you have to like go towards like a tower and climb it.
Yeah, the desert took me forever because I was like trying to find all the pieces, but it's also like a massive area.
Yeah, but
you can't move very fast if you run out of scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have any of those magic carpets around.
I could not tell that the person I was with was like an actual person or just like a fake multiplayer NPC.
I'm pretty sure they're
'Cause, like-
only real people. I don't think there are fakes.
It's just weird how it just felt so NPC like the person I encountered. Like when I responded, they responded, but they didn't do much else beyond that. And then they like slowly moved and in like very certain particular ways, and just like moved and just sort of followed me and not really took his own path unless I like went away. So like
Huh.
I'm like, I don't know, is this simulating a person or not? I couldn't tell.
I'm sure the people I was with knew I was real because I like spammed the shit out of the like chirp button. Like,
Dude, I did too. And the guy
yeah.
did not respond. Like he'll do one big chirp, and I'm like, okay.
I don't know. Interacting with other players in this game was very satisfying. It's like it's cool to just randomly come across someone. Like you're just kind of exploring, and then suddenly someone like you suddenly see someone.
Yeah, you
over
just
and press.
it's so cool because I think it's because there's no UI. You're just walking along and you're just like, "Oh, there's another person," and there was no indication from the game that they were there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like-
so and so was connected to.
And there are so few games that actually do that.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine Dark Souls. If
Yeah,
they did not
you-
say like you got invaded by so and so, and they
You
were-
got invaded by like giant penis 69.
Yeah. They did that so well that the first time that I actually played, my brother didn't tell me that it was multiplayer and that I would connect to other people. So the first time I actually encountered with a person, like we like chirped along our own songs while like sliding through, and I had no idea it was an actual person. I thought it was just like an NPC game that they threw along with me, and like they just like follow along with me. And I was just like, this is amazing. And then they just like disappear, and then later he told me that was multiplayer. I'm like, what?
The cool thing too about the multiplayer is if you run into someone in the beginning of the game, you can stay with them through the whole game,
Yeah, there's an achievement for that.
Oh wow.
which is super cool. Like when I on my playthrough last night, about halfway through the game, I came across the White Cloak, and we were with each other through the whole rest of the game. He would run ahead and like get further ahead because I was trying to just get all the extra collectibles I had missed. But we were always with each other the whole time, and so I only ran into two players, one person in the beginning and then him for the rest of the game.
Wait,
It's very satisfying.
how do you stay connected then?
If
Is it
you
just,
go
like-
through, if you go into the cutscene together, you'll come out of the cutscene together.
Hmm.
But
So,
what if like they continue the level and then you stay back? You didn't take the portal.
Then I think that they'll just keep going and you won't be there. I think you have to go through together.
Okay. There was a few times where I like didn't go with people. Just because I'm like, oh shit, I'm missing a cloth piece.
Yeah, that's what happened to me a few times as well.
Yeah.
And then there were just a few levels where I just couldn't.
Do we want to get into story? I
I feel
do we
like
got
I
more?
misinterpreted it a lot, and I don't remember all the storyboards because
Yeah, I don't really
didn't-
remember.
I didn't memorize that shit.
Like I read. I
could tell you
intentionally.
a shitty vag some.
Oh, I read the
Oh, you did?
story
If you
section
say
on
it,
the wiki, and it was vague as hell. Like,
Oh, okay.
like so I think it's intentionally supposed to be pretty vague. Just like, yeah, you were trudging through the ruins of this old civilization, and there are old like war machines that are like wandering around, and then you do the thing at the end and you go back to the beginning.
That's definitely the vibe I got. It's just like this abandoned world that you're like making a pilgrimage to the top. Why you're making a pilgrimage, I don't really know, but
I felt like for some reason I was freeing a slaved civilization with like, you know, releasing all the cloth, and like it seemed like a bunch of cloth was being, all those cloth creatures were being torn up to be just pieces of cloth to
Mhm.
be used.
It did kind of seem that way.
one thing that's cool too about finishing
It
the
felt
game-
like one story was through. Sorry, Mitch. It felt like one story was like through the panels and murals that you see, and then like a slightly different story was played through actual gameplay. It felt
Yeah.
like.
This last time I played, I didn't really pay attention to the like story walls, but I remember the first time looking at all of them and kind of getting a sense of like where it was going. But I couldn't tell you what happened this last time. But the other thing I was gonna say is that one thing that's really cool about finishing the game is you get like sent out as that like starburst back to the beginning, but you can see other players' starbursts as you're playing through the game.
Yeah, I
You
was
see them
I was
flying
wondering
overhead.
what those were. I was like, because I thought they were like trying to tell me where something was, like I was supposed to go over to where they were landing, but it was like no.
Well, it's funny because one actually intentionally lands
Yeah, one I think lands where the
on top of a rune, and a cloth is there then,
there's a cloth piece on there.
and that was in the desert.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
yeah, it was.
I
Like,
didn't know each single one was a. Is that really an actual player? Like
Yeah, each time you see one, it's because another player finished the game.
it's
that
like
seems unreal from just playing it, because like
maybe it's like
so many were going off.
maybe it's like Dark Souls,
Like-
where like every time someone in your quote unquote like server does like rings a bell, you hear it as well. Like maybe it's something
That's
like that,
basically how I've interpreted it.
or
Well,
or
true.
maybe it's
I'm-
not. I don't know.
Like, no, I believe it. I would just be amazed because of how many people would still be playing this game right now.
Oh, I've been
like, my
amazed how many people
playthrough,
I've run
there was-
into it. Like just the 2 times I played, I didn't think I'd run into anyone because I thought the game was so old, no one would be on it.
That's
But-
true. Like, why were you playing with a white cloak? Like, he already beat the game and 100%ed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people probably really like it. Like I've gone through and played Dark Souls like 5 or 6 times. There's probably
See,
people
well-
like that for this game.
That's so vastly different though, because Dark Souls is just like so customizable of your play style, where like this game is very simple and very short.
True.
But still the kind
but-
of thing where it's still fun to just jump in and play through it for like an hour or two.
Yeah, I mean, there are
I'm not
videos that
saying-
I really like that I go back and watch like once or twice a year, just because I don't know, they just put you in a really good mood.
yeah. I just think that says a lot about this game that many people are still playing now,
Yeah, definitely.
even for like a 2-hour game.
Yeah,
100%
this
no
is
problem.
this is the kind of game I appreciate. A kind of game that's like a really good, solid experience that you can finish in like 2.5 hours. That tells a really dope story.
Yeah.
I did want to get like your opinion on the ending because
Yeah.
my theory on the ending, I don't know. My theory was like something to do with like reincarnation. Like you're trying to do this journey over and over to like reach enlightenment or something, and the enlightenment is like getting the white cloak and ascending to be like the other, like the white cloaks you see in your visions.
Oh, interesting. That would kind of make sense since if you collect everything, you become a white cloak just like the people who are guiding you.
Yeah, I kind of got the similar vibe. I would not dispute that.
Oh, it's interesting too that like the way the game ends is that you die, and then you kind of like wake up and then finish the game.
Yeah, you're
It-
brought back to life by those beings.
It's literally you being on a journey and so certain and determined to do it that you give up everything.
Yeah, because like
That-
the cutscene before the snowy area, it shows you like falling down, so it kind of is
Like-
implying like, hey, you're
Straight
gonna
up
you're gonna
frozen.
fucking die doing this, and
Yeah.
that's heavy.
And then the incredible gameplay that I absolutely love, that they took every mechanic and put it to the max.
Yeah, you're just flying up the fucking mountain like that.
Yeah, you're no longer just on the ground. You can just fly indefinitely, and you're flying
you're
with
just
all the
flying
creatures.
everywhere.
You're above the clouds with the mountains.
with the
in the
giant
sun.
magic carpet things, and
Yeah, just flying with all the creatures being one with all the nature there.
and it was
Probably
cool to
a-
see like those war machines breaking apart, and they're like the big magic carpets beneath them.
Mhm.
It's, I don't know.
So yeah, they were being reborn too. So yeah,
Mhm.
I can see that. But it's like, I guess why? But I guess that's all through the murals. But I can't remember every single mural to.
Oh yeah, I can't either. I didn't get that
Oh,
much
yeah.
from most of them, honestly.
It
I
seemed
feel like
more
you
like a
really-
prophecy type thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. I also feel like you really only get something out of them if you're like getting every single one as you play through and like paying attention to them. Because like on their own, a single mural doesn't really tell you anything.
Yeah.
I was piecing it pretty well together, but like just after a few days, it's just hard to
Yeah.
keep the grasp concept.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of. It feels like this game is meant to be completed in one sitting.
And think about it there and all that. Such
Yeah.
a
The
gorgeous game.
the end of the game too. Before you get to the very end, where you're like actually like flying around and you have all your powers and everything, I really like that final climb. Like
Just the struggle and hiding.
Just
and all
how
that.
difficult it feels. Like you
the
actually
the
feel like you're
whole
struggling.
end, that last level is way harder than everything else. Like
It's also just a complete, vast, different environment too, which is
yeah.
'cause
Like,
the whole
I
time
really
you're in
like-
the sand, you're going through, and you have an objective, and then just in the snowy thing, like it's just all white. All you can do is press forward.
Yeah, and then there's those parts where you have to like constantly like hide behind the columns, otherwise you just get like blown backwards. And then you're running between different like little covers to make sure you don't get smashed by the giant robots.
Mhm.
Having your scarf weekend.
I don't know. And when I went through it last night with that other person, was even more satisfying to do it with someone else and like helping each other out to get along faster. And then we both died at the same time, and it was like kind of sad, just like watching us both climbing as far as we can, and then just my partner collapsed like a few seconds before me, and then I collapsed right next to them.
Oh,
And it was just kind of, it was like super sad. Like it wasn't as sad when I did it by myself, but when it was the two of us, it was like extra sad.
That's really
because you would have
interesting.
known if he didn't go down, there was still hope.
Yeah. Oh, and then on top of it, when you get up there, you like see all the gravestones. Like you see all the other gravestones
Yeah.
of
Did
like,
you?
where other people have died.
Were you able
And
to
kinda-
do the flying up the mountain part together?
Yeah, once we both died, we both did the flying up the mountain part together.
Oh, that's
That's
cool.
awesome. That
It's-
would have been super cool. I wish I would have had a person to experience with that.
Yeah, I went through most of the snowy area with somebody else, but I think we finished the snowy area at different times. Yeah. Otherwise, I feel like I don't have that much more to say on it.
Only a few other things I have to say is the art is amazing.
Oh yeah, the art
I
is
just
dope.
love how simple it is, but yet so great.
Yeah,
And because of
the architectural style and just the whole overall style of the game, like it feels very Middle Eastern, and that
Yeah,
just makes it
definitely.
really interesting because it's something you don't see super often.
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, it's like all the spaces are these massive, large-scale environments, and like I feel like they do a really good job of like making anywhere you look have really good composition. Like basically, you turn your camera anywhere, and you're like, "This is a good screenshot."
Yeah, definitely. There were definitely a number of times where it was like, man, this would be like a good, just like sometimes I'll record like a certain amount of footage that can be looped for like a background for the podcast video, and I got that feeling like 5 or 6 times before I was done with the game. Like, oh, this would be a really good spot.
I think that's with their pretty monotone colors that makes it so good
Yeah.
to make everything look like, oh, this could be a screenshot. This could be a screenshot.
Yeah.
See,
Plus,
I'm
you're,
going- I
whether
have every
you're
single-
whether your character's red or white, you always stand out against the background.
Yeah.
Wait, even the snowy one?
Well, actually, I've never
Well,
never
you
gone
still
through the
have-
snowy area as a.
You still have gold. You have like gold trim on
Ah.
your person, so you still kind of stand out. Like you definitely blend in a lot more in the snow, but yours is still different enough.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing I was gonna say this earlier. We were talking about how the use of color is important, and then you compared it to Inside. And one thing I thought about with Inside that's very similar is like the fact that they make your character red, and then it's basically the only thing that's red in the game is your character.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some other red things, but they're not like the same hue as your character, and you never see this much red. So like you're always standing out from the environment.
Well, the other red things are like scarf pieces or the scarf creatures.
Yeah.
Which also indicate, hey, those are important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Because your character is important, because that's you. Those things are also important, so yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it's
yeah.
this was probably the start of the every like short, awesome single player game has to have a character with a scarf for that fucking secondary animation.
Feels good.
I don't think it took off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, would you recommend this game?
Definitely.
Oh. Honestly,
By far.
do you even think about the price and how long it's played? It's a 2-hour game, but
Yeah, I forget whether I bought it. Did I get it on sale or did I just buy it for $15? Like,
I think I just bought it for 15, and even then, I'd buy it.
yeah, I
for
probably did. Yeah,
I think I got it on sale for like $5.
I actually think I was the same. I think I got it on the same sale because you told me about it.
But I had always wanted the game, so as soon as I saw it was on sale, I was like buying it right now.
Yeah, I've always been meaning to try it because I've heard like references of this game because it's like it's a pretty classic game, and just because of that, I think a couple of games like this, like well, I think you should at least play like a couple of games that are this kind of game if you enjoy games, definitely, because it's just a really interesting experience.
It's one of those games where if I were to teach a game design class, I'd be like, these are one of the games that we're gonna learn from.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does so much well, and it does it so simply.
Yeah, it's definitely an example of a game where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna really focus on one or two mechanics, and we're gonna make it really good, and we're gonna really focus on the kind of feeling that we want for our game. Which, it's kind of unfortunate because this, I did a little digging on this, and apparently this game like completely bankrupted that game company because that's
really?
why it's the last game they ever made.
Well, they're working on one
really?
now
Oh,
because
they
I applied for one of their positions.
Oh.
Because they were looking for a 3D artist a while ago.
Yeah, because I think they had like, I don't know, the game wasn't really coming together the way they wanted it to, so they had to extend it a really long time, and it cost way more to make than they thought it would.
Oh wow. Well, that's understandable by like music and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just how well it plays.
And it's all about
Definitely
the experience. So like you got to make every aspect like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta hit the mood just right, and that probably takes a crazy amount of work.
I'm surprised that was their last game, because I thought it was a hit.
I'm pretty sure. So the new game that they're working on, I think it's a mobile game, but I also think it has a similar vibe to Journey from what I remember looking up. But like a multiplayer version. I don't know. I have to go look it up again. I didn't look too much into it, and it wasn't available at the time. I think it's like just recently went into early access or something on mobile. I don't remember. You have to look it up. But there's something they're working on that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that
Genshin
out.
Impact?
What'd you say?
Is it a Genshin Impact?
It's definitely not Genshin Impact.
Is it Baldur's Gate 3? But yeah, otherwise I think I'm gonna stop the recording because I think we're just about done. Are both of you good with the next game we do being Hades?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I just gotta buy it.
Oh dang, you should have. I thought I told you that it was on sale for like.
You did. I still haven't bought it. Still don't care. We'll develop.
Yeah, it's the difference between buying it for $20 and $25.
Yeah. I guess.
So it's not a massive deal.
Honestly, when it's between the three of us, I don't care if we spend above 20. So.
Yeah.
And even if it was on sale, I'll be like, whatever. Good developers, they deserve it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Fucking, I will.
We gotta support
now
those
that I'm not-
developers because we're also developers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wannabe
And
developers.
I'm not a broke college kid.
Exactly.
I'm
Now I
still
have
I'm still a
money.
broke college kid.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully not for long though. But yep, gonna stop the recording. But also, Supergiant is the best game design company ever.